Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, now I will answer the question based on the book. Okay, the first question is, what is the concept of equivalence? Okay, the answer is the concept of equivalence to address the flow of information and ideas in the source text compared to the target text, while also examining how these ideas are tied together, suggesting textual equivalence as a more appropriate term. However, Gideon Turi posed a more interesting question that has since persist. The question to be asked in the actually of study of translation is not whether the two texts are equivalent, but what type and degree of equivalence do they reveal. And we're going to the next question is, what are the key terms in translation and who are the major theorists who coined the terms? And the answer is, traditionally, translation has been known as an activity pertaining to written text. However, in the 21st century, our nation of translation has expanded to include the idea of translating from unwritten language to written language and vice versa, developing as the technology advanced for recording such output. One example of translation with sign language occurs on television, where a deaf translator provides a translation after reading a new script, crafting a translation, and then presenting that translation to camera with the aid of an autocue or teleprompter, irrespective of recording medium in which this happens. When engaged in the activity of translating, translators are primarily concerned with conveying a message accurately and appropriately for a target audience that is not present when the translation is crafted. Interpreting is both a skill and a science, focused on the transfers of meaning between people who do not speak a common language. Typically, it focuses on the live and immediate rendering of a message in one spoken or sign language into another spoken or sign language, while also concerned and with accuracy. And the major theories is Bible translation. Bible translation has been a major preoccupation of Christian Church for 2,000 years, and in many ways has driven translation. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew and the New Testament was written in Koine Greek, an older form of the Greek language. As of 2006, the entire Bible has been translated into 426 languages, the New Testament into 1,100 languages, and parts of the Bible have been translated into 2,403 languages. United Bible Society World Report sit in Baker and Saldanha 2009. The earliest known translation was from Hebrew to Greek and is called the Septuagint, and a familiar text in Judaism translated by 70 Jewish scholars and later translated into Latin. And the third question is, who are the major scholars in translation and what are their contributions? Okay, Ferdinand de Saussure is the major scholar of translation because Saussure's theory of language had a profound impact on translation and interpreting. Today, linguistics study both language as a system organized in the brain and language as what people speak or sign in individual language. Linguistics has been an academic field of study since the 18th century, and thus has a long history of theories and method of study. Because that history is more adequately covered in textbook about linguistics, the next section will begin with more recent development in the 20th and 21st century and discuss the turn in linguistics that focus on how people talk to each other in their everyday life, be that at school, at work, or in a dinner conversation. This turn in the direction of linguistic studies spurred an explosion of research in both translation and interpreting. And the last question is, What is the significant study of translation in sign language interpreting? Okay, the answer is numerous studies on sign language interpretation examine language contact question from different angles. Language contact or code switching, code mixing, and lexical borrowing between English and American Sign Language exists within the scope of interpretation, as it requires that two or more languages be in contact in one social encounter. Understanding the effect of language contact in interpretation into American Sign Language or other sign language is vital in judgment of acceptability and accuracy in interpreting. Okay, that's all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.